apparently we're live.
Yes,
So
we are.
we're just going to chat. And we are here. Missed you last week. That's right. You did, because we didn't go on last week. We only went on TikTok last week.
Yep.
Because we're doing something different.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We'd
so
have a little more fun with it.
we thought we'd have a little bit, more
So
fun
you
with
guys
it.
are they a little early?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's not 6 yet, but when
Yeah.
it's 6, we're going to get going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hope everybody's doing all right.
Do you hear like noises buzzing or whatever? Or is that just me?
No, I can hear a bit of a buzz. I don't know what it is.
It's almost like maybe somebody left the fridge door open.
Mhm.
You know
Not
that?
to worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope I didn't leave the fridge door open. So, hello everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm Valerie.
And it's Sheila.
And we are
Today's
Liches.
Liches.
And that's Lady
Lady
Bitches.
Bitches. We're
Right.
pretty good at it.
So we've been told. It changes, but yeah.
Yeah.
As long as we're not bitchy at the same time.
No, sometimes it's all right.
True.
We can be bitchy at the same time.
So welcome to our program, Sandwich Generation.
Yeah.
So we are going to start, because we're doing segments now, because, it's
Yeah.
just the thing to do. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with What's Up Liches.
That's right.
All right. So What's Up Liches is a segment where we're going to be featuring artists,
That's right. Or just new things,
new things.
new ideas, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. New
Stuff you can
ideas,
try.
new things, up and coming. Something that piques our interest.
Right.
Anyway, so
And hopefully it piques
yours too.
at the same time.
So sometimes it might be a product or something that we're
Yeah.
totally cool with. So then after that, we're going to get into our hot topic.
Right.
And
And our hot topic will
You
remain.
go.
Oh, well. Okay. So today, ours is actually really deep, but it's also something we wanted to talk to you about, because it's not only a hot topic, but it's a sandwich generation thing.
yes,
as well.
it is.
And this comes from us.
Right.
This is our sandwich generation perspective. And it also comes from our very white perspective.
I guess.
Okay.
Yes.
And it is the findings of those bodies.
The children's bodies.
The
Yeah.
children's bodies at the residential school.
Mm.
And not just in BC. I'm sure it's going to end up throughout.
Yeah, I'm positive. But anyway, so we were going to get into that, and then we're going to get into a new segment we call Dear Liches.
Dear Liches.
So, because we get asked questions.
Sometimes.
Right. So with
Interesting ones.
Interesting
and we
ones.
have that sandwich generation perspective. Yeah.
But I think getting back to the changes, we couldn't figure out why we've been so popular on TikTok, and yet don't seem to take off too well on YouTube or other platforms. And it took us a while to figure it out, but we figured it out.
Yes.
One, we are a lot more relaxed
Yes.
and able to make fun of ourselves, and
Just having more fun on TikTok.
Right.
I think
We're
it's
not-
just us.
it's just us, and I think that's the difference. So that's what we're
not really worried about anybody's perspective. We have a
Or
lot of fun with
feelings,
things.
or
we play a game.
we
now
play
and then,
games,
and
we
And
joke,
we just joke and have fun. So.
yeah, we have fun and we have a really good time, and it's more of a positive vibe. And
Yeah.
sometimes our topics
It might be really deep.
right. And so sometimes we'll leave YouTube, go to TikTok, and then we end up going, oh yeah, we don't talk about the deeper conversations
issues, right.
or issues.
Right.
Pretty much because then we can just have fun,
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway,
You're communicating with each other.
exactly.
And it's a
So-
lot of fun.
With a lot of feedback, we decided to change it up, and that's
Yeah.
why one, we're doing segments.
That's right.
We all, for those of you who don't know, we also have Grandkids Corner.
Right.
Right. So this is still part of What's Up Liches.
That's right.
Grandkids Corner will be brand new
Yes.
this week, and it's actually an adventure.
Yes.
We get to take 3 grandchildren, and
Head into the Park.
and head into the park, and we have lots of fun. So that's what's going to be airing this Friday.
That's right.
And so that's what's up. Plus, we're changing our format on YouTube. You'll see us a lot more relaxed
And
not so
more
formal, and not so worried about how we interact or what we say or
are concerned so much with. We love you all very much in many ways, but we also aren't as concerned about others' opinions as our own.
Right,
because it's our we feel.
Yeah, we agree sometimes. Sometimes we
don't. Disagree. Right. And one of the things we talked about was sometimes we've chosen not to talk about certain things, particularly because we agree.
Right. Exactly.
Particularly because her and I might agree. So what's the real point? But the point is that we have a lot of stuff that is kind of cool.
Yeah.
That we'd like to discuss.
So that being said,
yeah.
What's up, Liches? That's what's coming down the pipe. Yeah. We will probably be doing a lot more on location as well. Yeah. And maybe a couple road trips. We don't know yet.
I hope so.
Anyway, but
we wanted to anyway.
We want to, and I think that's something that we can accomplish.
Yeah.
So that being said, and then on top of that, we're getting back into our blogs again.
Yes.
What we're doing is we're going to tone it down. Instead of like 5 blogs a week, we're going to do one each. That's manageable in our world
at this time.
So we're going to.
That might change in the future, but right now that's what's manageable.
That's what's manageable right now. So, and we are bringing TikTok to YouTube as far as having some fun.
Have some fun.
Yeah.
Right.
And making it about more on the positive, and yes, there might be deep topics.
We're going to have a lot of them.
Segue into one right now.
And we're going to mess up with words all the time.
Yeah. And say the wrong things.
Yes.
And technology isn't always our friend, but we'll get by it.
Yeah. So and we're still going to have fun with it. So moving on to that segue we're talking about was how do you go from having a good positive vibe into this conversation of First Nations people and what they've gone through and how horrible we're all feeling, and just knowing as a parent that as a white mother and
grandmother,
as a grandmother, and
daughter,
as a daughter,
sister,
and as a sister, and as friends. Right. It touched me really deeply.
But it touched everybody. But here's what we decided.
I'm so sorry.
Here's what we decided we were going to do.
Yeah.
We can't speak at all for the Indigenous or First Nations population.
That's why we said we can't speak for them.
We can only speak as Canadians, right? And as a Canadian, as a mother, as grandmother, sister, all of that.
They're so hard for you.
Right. And the thing is
to try to imagine the shock we could understand. We can't understand that.
We can't. How could you understand something like that? That it's, for me, the first thing was disgust.
Of course.
Right. Honestly.
Of course.
That was the first thing. Yeah. That was the first reaction I had, was disgust. And then the second reaction was what I didn't want to believe was true.
Yes.
Was true.
Yes.
There's been rumors.
What you want to believe.
There's been in people bringing this forward for years that there are children missing, right? And I guess there was a part of me that never wanted to believe that our government or churches, in the name of God, would ever do this, I guess. And the reality is, yes.
Or hide.
And to be honest, we're in our 50s. So here's the thing. When did you even know about residential schools?
Well, this is what we talked about. I mean, in reality, we learned nothing about it in school. We learned nothing about that, anything. If anything, I think the only First Nations or Aboriginal type teachings that we were taught was that there were wigwams.
Right.
And teepees.
And I mean, I do remember vaguely.
I think we did
doing a year on.
I'm just being honest, right?
Indigenous.
Anything.
anything. I do remember, and I think it was like grade 8 or 9 or something like
In
that.
our social
Anyways,
studies or I don't know what it was. It could have been
Exactly.
geography, social studies, something like
but
that.
here's the issue. I mean, we talk as she was saying, and it's the same thing as well. Okay, leading into all of this, the Edmonton former Eskimos have now changed their name to the Edmonton Elks, and it's a respect factor. Totally get it.
Yeah.
And the thing is that by taking away, and this is what I'm afraid of,
Okay.
is that we got a watered down version of actual history because the government wouldn't even own up to any of this.
No,
right.
for
Back
years.
when
Right,
we were in
right.
school.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm saying
When you
the
get this
first
watered down-
realization that there were such thing as residential schools and all of this would have came for me in the 90s as the last ones were shutting down. Right. That's kind of
I
when
think I might have been in closer. Yeah, maybe in the late 90s.
right.
Maybe in the late 90s.
No, and then there's our parents, right? Because here's the thing. I can't believe for the life of me, or I don't want to believe,
No.
that the general public knew.
No. I don't
Not
wanna
in
believe
the
that.
latter years. I'm saying,
Not in the
look,
latter
I'm
years.
not in the latter years because
I'm sure when
pretty
it started,
sure.
absolutely they knew.
Yes, I believe when maybe it was implemented 5 generations ago,
Right.
that maybe because I mean everybody was fed the same thing, right? They were the same thing. They had to be taught how to do this and do that. That's what was pushed
onto.
Yeah,
and that's sad.
It is, because there's
That's
absolutely
truly
nothing
a
wrong with
government-
their culture or anything
Anything
wrong
wrong
with
with
who they
It
when
should be celebrated, like
you're not a savage because you don't believe in Jesus Christ.
yeah. There's
Right?
a lot of people who don't believe
there's
in
a
Jesus
lot of
Christ.
people that don't believe in
Well,
Jesus
even back
Christ.
then, a lot of people would never have admitted it.
But I think we decided to take a different look at it with
Yeah.
a different perspective. That how about us
Yeah, our generation and what
and
we
us
know.
figuring out that this actually happened. It's not hearsay. It's not, rumor mills. It's
No.
not anything. There's actually proof.
Yeah.
Okay. We know the government owned up to the residential schools, but they never owned up to the abuse and what was happening
and
in
the
those schools.
hiding of stuff and the
And
let's
now
face it,
this
that's
is
the
in
reality
in a
the-
situation now that forces the envelope.
Right.
It really does. It forces the
Well,
envelope.
and like I was saying to you, I also feel like how can a person who's not First Nations make up
Even
for this?
understand. How do
Even
you make up for
understand,
it?
you can't. So all you could do is say, all those residential schools, they're yours. All of that land, all of that surrounds that's yours, and you need to decide what to do with it because it's yours. I mean, there could be all
Well,
the
I mean, you're
bodies
talking
and-
about solutions, right?
I'm just saying that, like, what else do you
But
do to
it-
make
but
it right? There's nothing to make
There's
it right.
nothing can be
You've
done
destroyed
to ever.
entire generations. Money's never going to buy it. No,
5 generations.
Yeah.
Have been
no-
destroyed.
nothing can make up for that. Whether
And
we
no-
like to believe it that
no,
or
not.
not, as a white
Canadian,
woman
yeah.
with children here in Canada,
There is
and
nothing.
I can't even imagine.
I can't
I
even.
can't.
Well, no, and I can't, and I think that's what's so appalling about all of it. What we couldn't imagine to be true to begin with
Right.
turns out to be
It's
true. You're slapped in the face with reality.
Yes.
And then you have to go back and look at what has been done over all these years to bring it to this point.
Yeah.
Right? Keeping in mind that in 1992 and 1996, the last residential schools closed.
Right.
And this was more a perspective because we can't speak on their behalf.
No.
I don't even want to attempt to.
And how could we? We could try. The reason we didn't know about this is because the churches and government swept it all under the bridge. And you're right.
And our fear, and this is our fear, My fear is that and I get it, why would you want a statue of a racist historical figure?
Right. I
Of
said
course.
it's okay to remove the statue. It may not be okay
Okay,
to remove
the
history.
and that's the problem.
Because the history is how you move forward. If you don't learn from that, if we don't grasp
No
what
matter
can be
how
taught,
ugly that history is,
it
we
is a
need
history.
to accept it, learn from it, and try to prevent.
You can't grow as a nation without that.
Right. So watering it down, erasing it is not going to help.
Or pretending like it didn't
Or
even
pretending
happen.
like it didn't even happen is not going to help the situation.
No.
Right?
Owning it is one thing, but
Right.
there's a difference between owning it and at least trying to make it partially right, like to do the right things by First Nations people. Those answers can't come from white people.
Not really.
I hate to say it, but the answer to what they need or want is not going to come from us.
Right. And the thing is,
Kathy, we definitely were not taught about residential schools.
No.
Like you, Valerie, it was somewhere in the 90s when it seemed to be more a known fact with the white Canadian population. You're right.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right.
And there is nothing like, I just think as a human being, to think that our government and our churches were okay with this, right?
It hurts.
It hurts, right? And then the reality that it's even worse than what we were led to believe to begin with.
Even than what you could have imagined, it's worse than that.
And it's a shameful part of Canada's history. We can't erase it, nor do I think we ever should even try to.
No.
And that's my fear, by people trying to erase something that...
Well, no, I can see, like I said, I understand the removal of the statues, or if they've been given like some kind of statue
or some sort of status.
Yes.
Like for instance, if somebody was
granted a bishop that was given some kind of special status. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Yes,
what it was, but having that removed
or revoked,
but having those things having that historically spoken to.
Yeah.
Having that statue that says this is why it was removed in our history. It was removed from this place, what we thought was of honor.
Right.
To be placed in a place where it's not anymore. It's not honor, it's history.
Right. And
history to be learned from.
Exactly. And that's how we move forward. And I dare say our Indigenous populations, our First Nations in Canada, 300, 400, 200 years ago, when treaties were being signed and everything, I don't believe that any of them had the foresight to see where we would be
today,
400 years from now either, right? The reality is that is our history. It's something we have to own up to, something we have to accept.
And so we wanted to talk to you guys about it too, about, like you said, a little bit of your perspectives. I understand that we weren't taught this, but now it's slapped us all in the face, and it's time to learn as much as we possibly can to
educate ourselves,
yes,
our children, and everything else,
and the reasons why these things can't happen, and why taking away people's cultures. And
well, I had said earlier about one of the things that we really tried to fall short of is a lot of controversy, because that can end you up in a lot of trouble. But
we don't need controversy in our life. We got enough of our own.
Exactly. Right. But on the other hand, I think the controversial part is trying to put together solutions and trying to fix something that we have no lack of understanding.
We lack the understanding.
We lack the understanding.
Where it's coming from. That's why I said us answering those questions is ridiculous. Asking the question, that's what we need to do. We need to be more of the person who sits back and asks the question, how do you see us moving forward?
Right.
How How do you move forward from this? This is
Because
atrocious. There's
it
no other
is.
way of even expressing ourselves. Eh?
And the damn thing about reconciliation is, because here's the point, with residential schools, they had moved towards the reconciliation process. I know the federal government has moved in that direction, and they're working towards and working with reconciliation and
Yeah.
everything. But how does that move forward? How do you move forward from this? How can you even talk about
Well, that's what I said. The
reconciliation?
first, in my opinion, the first thing the government of our country needs to do is step up and say all the residential schools are no longer any property or owned by. We will do whatever it takes to make it possible. To allow you to have that school. That is a piece of their history. And that is a way of them showing, it's like almost like an internment camp, Valerie. It's really in some sense.
And in some sense, it's you almost feel like it's a type of genocide that happened within your own country that you knew nothing about.
Yeah.
Right. And the frustrating part is moving forward from here, because I would have to say, for most Canadian citizens, this must be appalling.
Yes.
All across Canada. I don't care where you live, whether you live in Yellowknife or wherever you live.
And I don't know what it is that we need this kind of proof.
No, because
First Nations people have been screaming
about this for years. This had been taking place.
Hidden. And even though, and they've said that, they know that some of these deaths and that have been reported are like scarlet fever and different.
Right, but
small
not all. I'm sorry.
Right,
yeah.
They said they understand this, but it's not the point. These are their children,
right?
Their legacy, their families.
Yeah, and it's sad. Yeah,
it really is. And anyway. So, what do you guys? How do you think we could even start? Is there even a start button? Is there something we can start by saying sorry?
Yeah, I know, but sorry.
In my lifetime, I think I was 10 when they. I'm 10 or 11 or whatever. 69, I think, was one of the ones when they started really seeing atrocities happening.
Right, but the reality was,
so
as
69,
Kathy pointed out,
79,
and I will say, is that this was I didn't even know like growing up, I never even knew it existed.
I know.
I didn't know anything about it. It wasn't until they were shutting down that I started hearing about residential schools. And I kid you not, there weren't just residential schools for Native population
or First Nation,
or for First Nation at all, or the Indigenous. In Nova Scotia, they even had for colored. Yeah, for Black people.
Yeah.
So they had, and that actually is now a heritage site. But I'm just saying, how do you?
That's, I guess, what I'm saying is maybe these places need to be given back to. Give them these schools to go through and check their lands,
and that's
and decide with what they want to do with them. Especially if there's people, they may want to keep that.
Yeah, maybe.
As a I don't know, a memorial,
heritage site, a memorial
something
site,
special for
or
them.
something like that. Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely something.
It's not up for us to choose that. That's why I'm saying we need to ask them what they need.
Right.
Especially right now.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I agree. And we didn't want to make this was more about
right.
How do we react?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's so just, like I said, the first thing I thought of was disgust. It was disgusting.
Children, right?
And I guess that's, and it shouldn't be that way. And I guess the other disgusting part for all of me is, why are atrocities like this always done in the name of God or Allah or whatever? Right?
What?
I guess that's because that's not.
But there's extremists everywhere, even
no,
in government.
I understand. I'm not,
even in government.
I'm not
right?
saying
there's extremists in government.
I'm just saying that it's just this keeps happening over and over.
Well,
and
because we're
over
not
again.
learning from our atrocities,
Right.
and people aren't holding us accountable for these atrocities, are not holding their governments or their peoples or whatever accountable. Because we all know, even as children, when you're held accountable for something,
Hello.
you usually learn your lesson, right?
Kind of.
So accountability is really important in my books.
No, I get it.
Not just by governments and people, but by all of us.
That being said, we are going to end our segment
Yeah.
on this topic, and we are going to move over to Dear Liches.
Dear
So I
Liches.
want to hear.
Dear Liches.
Come on, Liches, tell me what's
Okay,
what's
so,
the latest you got?
How, I guess, okay, so the question came to me
Okay.
was, what do you do if pornography is in your relationship already before marriage? Does that mean that it's always going to be? And is that okay? And I really didn't know how to answer the question.
Okay.
Except you and I talked about it a little bit. I told you that it was about this, but they're not married yet. Okay.
Okay, so was the question,
But they're living together.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you because I didn't see it.
Okay.
Okay, so the couple is living together
For 3 years.
for 3 years. Pornography is part of their sexual relationship.
Now.
Okay,
Yeah.
now, so the person who's asking, will that continue
Yeah.
after they get married?
Yeah.
Is this the question?
Yes.
Well, okay, so,
Yes.
okay, so
That's my answer.
my
Yes.
answer
If
is,
it's now, it's
if
later.
you want it to, it will.
Yeah.
If you don't want it to, you need to have that conversation now.
Now.
That was easy.
Yeah.
I like these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the easy ones, right?
Yeah.
And the reason I said, okay, so let's kind of maybe clarify a little bit about what we're saying, Valerie.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're speaking a little bit from experience.
Right.
We know that a leopard doesn't change his spots is not just a saying, it's the truth.
100%.
Right. And and we also know that it depends on what you find acceptable in your relationship.
Absolutely. And that's, everybody has different kinky boots. That's all
That's
I'm
right.
saying.
Everybody does, right?
So here's the thing. If it's working for you and it's part
it's
of your,
okay with
it's
you,
okay,
then it's okay with you. But
and
if it's not okay with you
do
now and you think it's going to change later,
later,
that's
please
not
know
really what's going
that's
to
not
happen.
going to happen, but you need to have that discussion
Right.
now.
Because things don't change like that.
Right.
And especially you got to have a conversation.
Right. But that's
Right.
missing a
Now,
lot.
I don't know in the conversation. I do not know if it was something that they wanted or didn't want. They
No,
didn't say
okay, and that's where I was
They
coming
didn't.
from.
They didn't say it whether they
So it
wanted
just
that or didn't. They just wanted to know, if that
will
would
it continue?
continue.
Yes.
And
If
if
you
in
want it to.
our old lady point of view, it will
Yes.
continue. If you do not want it to continue prior to marriage, if you don't want to continue after marriage, then you need to discuss that before marriage.
Okay, so I have this question to pose back.
Okay.
What is the difference between before and after marriage?
I don't know.
That's all my question is.
I
I
didn't
really
ask.
don't know.
I
I
didn't
mean,
ask.
if they're living together in a common law relationship,
Right.
but they haven't gotten married.
I'm thinking
Before
yeah.
or after marriage, unless marriage means maybe in their world things change after you get married. I don't know.
No.
Anyways, but that was just my
Not
question.
a whole lot changes after marriage.
No.
No. You might poo for a little more often in front of your spouse, though.
Okay, we're not getting into that. I'm not talking about
I'm just
you
saying.
fluffing.
Just saying.
Okay, or leaving the bathroom door open.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Well, that's it for tonight, and we hope we gave you something to chew on. We'll see you again next week.
Lots of love, you guys.
Yep.
Love you.
Same time. Bye.